Gus Gotzi of the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce, another edition of The Wave. We're having a special guest today here in beautiful downtown Suffolk, our 64th District Delegate Emily Brewer. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. I'm very excited. Welcome to Suffolk, Virginia. And hopefully, if we're lucky enough, maybe I'll get you the rest of my district one day soon.
I hope so. I'm planning on staying in this beautiful, she owns Uncork the Wine Shop right here at the intersection of Washington and Main Street. It's awesome. Delegate Brewer is on the House Appropriations Committee, the General Laws Committee, and the Communications, Technology, and Innovation Committee. I just learned all that through your wonderful assistant, Tracy.
I can't go anywhere without her. She keeps me squared away.
Let's get right into it because we'll run out of time. COVID's affected everybody. Our chamber is very focused on small businesses, and we want to help them as much as we can. I know that's a big focus with your conservative values. How did COVID affect your business and your constituents?
Well, I got to be honest, is right from the get-go from COVID, we had so many people reach out and talk about so many of the issues and barriers they were having understanding issues with. So the executive orders especially have been cumbersome for business owners to understand and interpret. Really the hardship that has come out of COVID is not just the business owners having trouble enforcing some of the standards, but also truly acting or having them act as a first line of defense in regards to dealing with COVID in their own business, which really shouldn't be that way. One of the biggest issues we're also having is business owners finding funding. So, for instance, the governor rolled out Rebuild Virginia about 30 days ago. Well, the concern and issue has been so many people have reached out because they can't apply for the money, because basically what has occurred is they took locality grants, small chamber grants, business group grants, and if they had taken any of those locality funds, they now can't qualify for Rebuild Virginia. So it's really put some business owners that really need that funding in pretty dire straits already.
It's my understanding that 9 cities in Virginia have these grants where you can give loans out, a cap of $10,000.
Absolutely.
That's what our members want to know. How can they apply? And Suffolk's one of those cities, along with Virginia Beach.
Well, they are, and the Director of Economic Development here and his department is administering most of that. It's very simple. You just go to suffolkva.us and
say that again, because I didn't.
Suffolkva.us.
Suffolkva.us.
And Economic Development has all the information application process. It's fairly straightforward and easy. It's a very simple application, unlike some of the other federal programs, and people had some issues applying for some of those. But we really have to think about the toll long term that some of these executive orders are taking on businesses. I mean, right here in Hampton Roads, we've been moved back to what I'll call phase 2.5, where a lot of these businesses can't really maximize on the Labor Day holiday, which traditionally in Hampton Roads has been a huge revenue generator for many businesses. And so we're going to have an economic fallout. And that's why it's so important right now to make sure that if you can, by all means, please support local. Let's support our local business owners through these trying times.
It's certainly been a tough time for many of us, and that Governor Northam's shut down for Labor Day weekend. There's a lot of unhappy campers down at the oceanfront. I know that much.
As they should be.
I'm brokenhearted because the Peanut Festival. I never missed the Demolition Derby and all the fun concerts out there. That's shut down. That's got to hurt so many people in Suffolk.
Over the weekend at Peanut Fest every single year, we have people from all over Hampton Roads, all over the state that come down to Suffolk, hang out at the airport, and they really get that sense of Americana and really what agriculture is all about, and get to see that up front, close and personal. It's around 50,000 people over that weekend, and so it's really huge for our locality, and it will be sorely missed. But there's somebody that wants to know how agriculture works and would like to see a farm up close and personal. Maybe that's where we'll do our next interview. What do you think?
I would love to. I mean, I like the spot down by the Hilton Garden Inn too, right there with the boats in the background.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
That is beautiful. Let's move on. 2019 Legislator of the Year by, I believe, the Virginia Chamber of Commerce, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Quite an honor. What did you do? And you don't have to be modest that they gave you that wonderful title.
Well, I will say this. Being a business owner really gives me a true on-the-ground perspective of what it really means like when some of the legislation that comes forward will affect our everyday lives. You know, we had legislation that more so we stopped and defeated than really anything else. You know, sometimes you have to stop the bad stuff so that way people can be successful. In 2018 alone, we saw bills come forward that would reinstitute the death tax, reinstitute the plastic bag tax, reinstitute you know, additional taxation on businesses of the smallest degree, not even a limitation of 10 employees or more. I'm talking about to the smallest business owners. And so I made sure I stood up and I had a voice against legislation like that would affect not only my business, but businesses across the Commonwealth. Because, you know, we're the first line of defense to really stop bad things from happening from them, and I'm always going to be a voice to make sure that we do that.
I know everybody likes to hear that. Delegate Emily Brewer from right downtown Suffolk with us today on the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce, another edition of The Wave. Hurricane that hit you 3 weeks ago, tornadoes touched down. You were in my prayers because there were a lot of homes and businesses. What are those businesses doing to rebuild? How are you helping?
Well, we've been very fortunate here. I mean, it came actually about 500 feet from my business right here. You know, we had a ripped on and a couple minor issues that happened, but by and large, we were very fortunate. We had no loss of life. The morning after the tornado, I toured a couple neighborhoods in the area and just checked in on everyone, make sure they were okay. But you know, the beautiful thing about being from a somewhat smaller, close-knit community is people were already out there. Lending a helping hand. It was cleaned up before the evening was out. So, you know, we've helped people through insurance issues or claims or questions they might have as an intermediary and things of that nature. But by and large, we'll be back up and running fully within a week.
How about, what's the homes versus businesses? How many actual mom and pop businesses like yours versus homes, they both hurt?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this tornado fortunately affected a private neighborhood about a mile from here, much worse. It just destroyed about 7 homes. And there was 2 buildings that were partially destroyed. But one of the business owners, a good friend of mine down the street, he said, well, I planned on a remodel and I guess I'm going to get to do it early. So some people have more positive attitudes than others and see it as a blessing, not a curse. And I think I feel the same way. Gave me an opportunity to work on a remodel earlier than I planned, and I'm excited about it.
There's always a rainbow in every storm.
That's right.
Hampton Roads future, Delegate Brewer, is on everybody's minds here for the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. What do you have thoughts about it?
Well, you know the one thing that you can't make more of, you know what that is? You know what it is?
I probably need some of it, I'm sure of that.
It's land. They don't make it anymore.
Land, of course.
So one of the things, and I represent parts of Suffolk, Isle of Wight, Prince George, and also Surrey County. So
largest city in Virginia, right?
Oh, I
Suffolk.
do, right here in Suffolk. Virginia Beach might contest that, but we'll have that discussion later.
Sure.
But, you know, my district reaches from Hampton Roads all the way to the Richmond Metro, and for many years in Hampton Roads, we've talked about creating a mega region to really strengthen our partnership with the Richmond Metro. The only way we're ever going to do that is really investing in transportation outside of Hampton Roads Metro and really connect the major gap in between there. But I want to talk about why that's important. You know, Hampton Roads, as far as evacuation routes, hurricane evacuation, and we're coming to hurricane season, one of the most important things we can do is make sure that we're shoring up our business interests and investments in Hampton Roads to make sure there are people, if they have to evacuate, can leave here. And so every single year I've been elected, I've been working on, and actually got a bill passed this year, to work on making sure we're shoring up our evacuation routes. Because if we ever have a disaster like, you know, God forbid, something like New Orleans where we can't appropriately evacuate folks in Hampton Roads, what is that going to do for business investment, you know? What is that going to do for confidence in our ports?
Devastating, yes.
You know, Hampton Roads and our port is one of our greatest assets that we have.
Sure.
And so I want to make sure that we have 2 things going: easy flow back and forth between Hampton Roads and Richmond, and the ability to evacuate our region with ease. And so I think we really need to look at 460 again and looking at creating, you know, that mega region that we've all talked about, whether it be data centers that we can build along that corridor, whether it be, you know, investing in tech fields, whether it be, you know, looking at fiber in areas outside of metro. I mean, one of the biggest things that we will ever do is invest in our transportation, because that's only going to be beneficial to us continually growing our region, and it's going to be vital for business investment. So,
every time I think of that, I think of that movie where you see the signs, Virginia Beach, with big tsunamis coming in, and it always scares me to death because I think about that. But that movie certainly could be not too far from the truth.
Knock on wood, let's hope it never happens, but we should always be prepared should it. Hampton Roads has always been kind of dubbed, people say, when they compete against from other parts of Virginia for business contracts or for business investments, they call Hampton Roads a cul-de-sac. They've always said that.
Sure,
because we have
yes.
so many bridges and tunnels. But you know what, sometimes our assets are, what some people might say is not an asset is actually an asset. We have a beautiful region. Coastal Virginia is absolutely one of a kind. We have a diverse area. I mean, you can be from, the Virginia Beach oceanfront to Colonial Williamsburg, all the way down to, a peanut field in Suffolk, Virginia, all within 30 minutes of each other. And it's really a true unique cross-section of our Commonwealth. And I think that our Commonwealth would be well served if we invested in our infrastructure going to and from Hampton Roads, especially as North Carolina is making rapid investments in their interstate system, and we need to be able to link up to that and also.
Sure, hand in hand, absolutely.
Absolutely.
In the few minutes we have left here, I'm sure there's things you're passionate about, that is on your heart that you'd like to see, whether it's in the special session that's going on now or just anything in general that you want to tell our members.
Well, oftentimes in a General Assembly, when people run for re-election, there's a heated debate going on, or there's a huge, election, people think it drills down to 3 issues, whether it be, guns or business or all these things, but that's really not all the things that we get to do every single day. When I got elected, one of the biggest things I wanted to work on personally was foster care and adoption policies in Virginia, and I'm proud to say that the past 3 years, we have passed down federal legislation to be able to pull down federal money for the Family First Prevention Services Act. We've established a kinship guardianship assistance, so next of kin can take in family members, whereas maybe they couldn't afford to financially to do so before. And we're working on changing the adoption policies and laws in Virginia, which has been something I've worked on and introduced legislation every single year to change. My personal story, actually, I was adopted. I was lucky. I didn't end up in foster care for very long, and it's something I've always wanted to champion. And I would say this.
Well, you really have some skin in the game.
I do.
Absolutely.
I do. But you know what? Not so many kids are as lucky as I was. And so it may not be the sexiest topic, may not be something that comes to top of mind, and in November you might not see that in a mailer in your mailbox. But I'll tell you what, if I'm proud of anything I've ever done, that's it.
You got a year before you have to run for re-election again, right?
I have another year.
That's always nice too, a little
It
cushion
really
time.
is.
Emily Brewer, the district delegate from the Suffolk, the 64th District, has been our guest right here on another issue of The Wave. You want to say anything in closing?
Just make sure you're supporting local, especially during this pandemic, before and after. And thanks for having me.
JP Gascazzi for the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being with us. See you next time on The Wave.